I was driving by myself, coming from a late meeting in the countryside. Raindrops the size of marbles hammered the windshield, blurring the already desolate highway into a watery mess. My wipers slapped back and forth in a frantic rhythm, barely keeping pace with the downpour. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, knuckles white, a knot of unease tightening in my stomach. It had started innocently enough, a late meeting pushing me onto the road well past nightfall. Now, with the storm raging and my phone inexplicably dead, a gnawing sense of isolation gnawed at me. Then, I saw it, a flicker of headlights in the rearview mirror. At first, I dismissed it as another traveler on this lonely stretch of road, but the car stayed there, impossibly close, its headlights locked on my back bumper. Driving at night in an unfamiliar landscape itself can be stressful. The relentless rain didn't make it any easier. Yet, being out there in the countryside, with miles of nothing and a stranger pursuing me on the road, was simply terrifying. What happens next? Is he going to overtake me and then force me off the road? What if he pulls out a gun and shoots at me? Or maybe he decides to shoot out one of my tires. My car will be immobilized and then he can easily finish me off. What will happen should he manage to push me off the road? What horrors might ensue? These are the thoughts that crossed my mind. Panic clawed at my throat. I wasn't speeding, but I pushed the pedal down further, the engine straining in protest as I urged the car forward. He mirrored my acceleration, staying glued to my tail. A gas station loomed up in the distance, a beacon of hope in the storm. But the thought of pulling over, of being a sitting duck for whoever was behind me, sent a fresh wave of terror through me. I slammed my foot on the gas, ignoring the flashing neon sign promising fuel and a hot cup of coffee. I could drive to the local police station once I get to my suburb, but it is on the other side of town. I don't have enough gas. Home is closer. Home. That was the only thought in my head now. My neighborhood, a maze of winding streets and hidden cul-de-sacs, was my only chance. I knew every turn, every shortcut. Maybe, just maybe, it would be enough. The familiar streets blurred into a frantic race. I swerved through turns, taking corners on two wheels, praying to lose the car behind me. But the headlights remained, a relentless predator stalking its prey. Finally, my street. With a desperate surge of adrenaline, I pulled into the driveway, scrambling out of the car and fumbling with the keys. The front door slammed shut behind me, the deadbolt a satisfying click in the tense silence. Heart hammering against my ribs, I dialed 911, my voice shaky as I reported the car, the chase. Just as I finished, a loud bang echoed from outside. I peeked through the blinds, a primal scream catching in my throat. A figure emerged from the car, a long coat billowing in the rain. In his hand, a baseball bat. He swung it with a sickening crunch, shattering my car's driver's side window in a shower of glass. Then, just as abruptly as he appeared, he jumped back into his car and sped off into the night. Moments later, the wail of sirens cut through the storm's fury. I slumped against the door, the terror slowly draining away, replaced by a bone-deep exhaustion. The rain continued to fall, but for now, it was just rain. When the cops took the details, I realized a crucial failure on my part. I was so terrified during the entire ordeal that I never even tried to remember his car's license plate number. The officer consoled me by pointing out that if that person was on the road to terrorize other drivers, then it is very unlikely his license plate was the real thing. Yet there is no doubt that I should at the very least have taken that number. But when one is in such fear, it can be hard to keep a straight mind. Rain hammered the windshield, blurring the lonely stretch of road into a smear of gray. I gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, the only sound the rhythmic drumming on the car and the unsettling creak of the wipers. Miles from civilization, the isolation pressed in with each passing mile. It was a heavily forested area. Suddenly, headlights blazed in the rearview mirror. A beat-up van, its paint peeling like old skin, crawled up aggressively behind me. I eased my foot off the gas, hoping they'd pass, but the van stayed put, uncomfortably close. My breath hitched in my throat. From here on, the road had a lot of curves as it was passing through a hilly area covered in state forest. A sliver of relief flickered when the van's blinker flashed, turning onto a barely there side road. Thank God, I thought. I continued on, tension slowly ebbing from my shoulders. But a few miles later, as I drove around yet another end, a jolt of primal fear ripped through me. The van, parked dead center, headlights piercing the downpour, blocking the main road. It was about 300 meters ahead. Ironically, this is where the road straightened out again. How did it get there? I then realized that the almost hidden side road he took is a shortcut. I was trapped. If I turned back, he might simply, again, use his shortcut to block me off on the other end. This area has a reputation for a certain kind of person. Let's just say some folk around here are known for being violent. What if they were armed? I thought. Panic clawed at my throat. Should I try to talk to them? The answer screamed back, no. I turned the car around and started driving back as I came. A glance back showed the van remained stationary, a sinister silhouette in the rain. I drove around the bend. I stopped. I turned the car around, hoping the van will be gone. But it is still there. I did the same twice more. I gave up. I realized I would have to go back as I came. As I approached the very first point where the van took the shortcut, it was also there. Now it was blocking off this end of the road. I saw there was a gap between the van, straddling the main road, and the entrance to the narrow side road it has been using as a shortcut. I drove slowly up to the van. I then put my foot to the gas, sped up, and with a massive tug at the steering wheel threw my car into the side road. As I entered it, I saw a sign, "Private Property." I wasn't too concerned because I knew that at the other end it again meets up with the original route I was driving. I was now on his shortcut and speeding towards the point where he blocked me off the first time. With a surge of adrenaline, I floored the gas pedal. The tires threw rocks and dirt into the air as I careened down the shortcut. Relief flooded me momentarily. I tore down the muddy path, the van close behind. But the road was unforgiving, a series of brutal bumps threatening to toss me off course. Still, I pushed it, pushing the car to its limits. At one point, I passed a derelict old house. This was clearly a property that has been abandoned. Looking back now, I am damn lucky that road did not split off into another back road. Because only God knows where I would then have ended up or gotten lost, and what the result of that would have been. This was, after all, my pursuer's world, and surely he knew it much better. But thank God it again linked up at the point he blocked me the very first time. Back on the main road, I slammed my foot on the gas once more. Screeching tires and a plume of smoke marked my departure as I sped into the night, the van shrinking in the distance. Finally, shaking and gasping for breath, I reached my destination. It was a harrowing experience. What the van driver wanted, I never found out. But the memory of that rain-soaked chase would stay with me, a testament to the desperate gamble I took to escape, by using his own shortcut to escape him. The windshield wipers struggled valiantly against the deluge, their rhythmic whoosh the only sound besides the relentless drumming of rain on the roof. My headlights carved a narrow tunnel of visibility through the storm, revealing nothing but endless stretches of deserted highway. A flat tire on a deserted stretch during a downpour, not exactly how I envisioned spending my Saturday night. The spare was in the trunk, mockingly useless with the tools locked safely back at home. My phone, predictably, had died miles ago. Resigned, I flipped on the hazard lights and decided to drive very slowly, a crawl at best. I was hoping there might be a service station coming up. Hours seemed to crawl by. Whether the wind blowing leaves across the road or a flicker of distant lightning, it would send a jolt through me. I was really worried. Then a faint glow appeared on the horizon. Hope surged through me. Maybe a gas station, a diner, anything. As I crawled closer, the glow resolved itself into headlights. Relief washed over me until I noticed something odd. The car wasn't moving. It was parked on the shoulder, completely dark except for its headlights pointed directly at me. My stomach lurched. This wasn't a highway rest stop, just a lonely stretch of road. Who would be parked out here in this weather? I debated my options. Pushing on with a flat tire was a recipe for disaster, but approaching a stranger's car in the middle of nowhere during a storm, it did not sit well with me. The headlights flickered once, then twice, as if beckoning me closer. Taking a deep breath, I gripped the steering wheel, the decision a bitter pill to swallow. Maybe the driver could offer help or at least a call for assistance. I stopped. I got out of my car. I started walking across the road towards the car. The vehicle's cabin remained stubbornly dark. Just as I was halfway across the road, a figure emerged from the passenger side. A tall, hulking man materialized from the shadows, rain dripping off his dark clothes. He didn't speak, just stared at me with an unnerving intensity. I stopped. He was holding an elongated object. I could not believe my eyes. It was an axe. Panic clawed at my throat. I turned around. I ran back to my car. I got into the car and regardless the flat tire, I slammed it into drive, put my foot to the floor and sped off as fast as it would allow me. I went around a bend in the road and then a miracle. Right there in front of me was a fully lit service station. It even had a friendly staff member on the forecourt. I could not believe my luck. Whoever that character in the car on the side of the road was, whatever his intentions were, or why he decided to do his thing so close to a friendly and functioning gas station is a mystery. However, I thank God that he had such lack of foresight. Otherwise, he would easily have chased me down as my car could not go much further. When I got to the station, the tire was starting to come off the rim. That station saved my life. I had them call the cops, but apparently by the time they arrived, he was gone. Please support our young channel by subscribing and liking this video. If you ever had a harrowing road experience, please tell more in the comment section below.